Hi everybody, so here we have some Xbox Series S gameplay of the new version of Vikendi that dropped a few days ago on console. We've got a complete game here now, don't get too excited, it doesn't end up with a win. I do get to second place though, which is pretty amazing, and I get 2 kills, which is pretty amazing, but if you do watch through it, you will see that my aim is absolutely terrible. I guess I've just been playing too much of the likes of Call of Duty where the aim assist drags you onto target, and obviously with PUBG that does not happen at all. And there's a bit at the end you'll see when I'm trying to track a guy. I think I've got SLR and I'm just missing him. I'm quite proud with the first kill I get though, where I do push a guy who's hiding behind a tree, and force him to stick his head out, and I blat him with my my trusty barrel. Anyway, though, back to the new Vikendi. Vikendi was my favourite map actually of PUBG when it first came out back in the day, when you needed to run PUBG, bit of a slip there, run PUBG on a SSD on your console, otherwise you would fall through the map regularly, and that was the big problem with the original Vikendi. It was a great map, I think it was on par with Erangel. It was that perfect Erangel size, had lots of points of interest. It was nice and different though, because you had the snow, so you could track people with the footprints, and you had lots of ambient noise as well, which was cool. It sounded like you were on an Arctic island, and it had the main difference with the circle on Vikendi. The circles were always quite slow, so especially for solos where you were creeping in, surfing the blue as you're coming in, that was possible to do, and I felt it made for some very interesting final battles. And then Vikendi got pulled, then it came back as this kind of mishmash where they got rid of most of the points of interest, and they added railways to it, which was quite interesting. It was nice to have railways. It was an interesting mechanic. Problem with the railways was, of course, they were too noisy, and so if you were near one and the train was coming past, you couldn't hear someone pushing you, which was a bit of a pain, and it was kind of a bit blotchy and muddy in some places. It lost its character, if you asked me, in a similar way that Sanhok did, and might still have, when they made all the rivers narrow, so you can just like jump and swim for a little bit rather than having been forced to swim for a long time or go to the bridges. But Vikendi's now back. It's had a major facelift. We've still got the trains, but they're on much shorter routes, and we also have cable cars as well, which not only can transport you and your squad, but you can put vehicles in as well. And a few of the favourite vehicles back. I think the snowmobile's back. I'm not sure if the snow motorbike is back. It might be, but they were great vehicles when they were in the original Vikendi. And playing it now, I played it on PC when it came out, the new version, and playing it now on console for a bit. It's definitely got that feel back. I think it's definitely got that feel of a different map. I would like them to turn up the ambient noise a little bit, the sound of the wind whistling through the trees. That would be very good, and the crunch of your feet as you run across the snow. But I think it's different enough now to hold its head up among the likes of Erangel and Miramar as the top tier PUBG maps. And I've enjoyed myself. I have to say, I do say this in lots of my videos, don't I? If there was a game where that I would play much more of and make more content about if I had more time, PUBG would be that game, because it's up there. I kind of solidified the idea of my top 3 games of all time now. You've got, and this is in no particular order, but you've got, actually, okay, so let's have top 4 then. We'll have top 4 in no particular order though. You've got like DayZ, which is my adventure survival game. Love that, absolutely fantastic. And then you've got Battlefield 1, which will forever be, in my eyes, the greatest multiplayer respawn shooter ever created, simply because of the care and the thought that went into that game. The first campaign mission, the prologue campaign mission, I think it's probably the pinnacle of video game shooter campaign visuals, storytelling and feel. Really is that good, and the multiplayer is just absolutely amazing. Don't play it much now because don't have much time. And then you have PUBG, which is the greatest battle royale ever made, and although they've made plenty of missteps over the years, And you can argue there's plenty of decisions that they should be making now to make the game better so that people don't go away from this amazing game. There can be no doubt that the feeling, I think anyway, the feeling that you get in PUBG in the final circles or the final circles, especially in solo matches, is unlike anything else you have. Because the thing about DayZ, I know people say sometimes, like with DayZ and Tarkov, they go, well, it's similar, because you've spent hours and hours and hours getting all this loot together and organising your stuff, and then get into a gunfight and you could lose everything. And you could, but in DayZ and Tarkov, I think you do have the option of disengaging, don't you? You can turn around, pop a smoke grenade and run away if you wanted to, and survive, to fight another day. When PUBG, there isn't that. The circle forces you to fight at the end. You have to fight. Sure, you can win without killing someone. I've got a no-kill win, but they're very rare. Generally, at some point, you have to throw down and you have to start shooting at each other. And in this game at the end, I started getting the PUBG sweats, the PUBG shakes. Your aim goes completely out of the window. And then for my fourth game, it would have to, not a specific Call of Duty, but Call of Duty as a franchise over the years has given so much to this channel and to my video game enjoyment as well. So PUBG, is up there, and definitely if I ever manage to do this sort of full time, PUBG would be one of the games that I'd be spending a lot more time on and creating content for. Excuse me, or even just playing for fun, to be honest, because it is when it goes good, it is very good. So back to PUBG. One of the problems I think they really need to address, though, is the lobby times, and these have been the same forever since the game came out. Where you have this crazy 2-minute timer that starts when the lobby's full. And I can remember going back to before PUBG came out on console, and just had the PlayStation 4, didn't have an Xbox. And then we were playing, what's that game? X1Z1. I can't remember its name. It's something like X1Z1. That was the first Battle Royale that became available on that and Fortnite were the first ones that became available on PlayStation. And X1Z1, was it? Anyway. And that one wasn't very good, but Fortnite was pretty cool. And I remember one of the first updates they did to Fortnite on PlayStation was that they speeded up the lobby time. And it was like, you would get into the lobby, and then 20 seconds later, you would be in the battle bus flying over the island ready to jump down. And that was amazing. Now, obviously, Fortnite's had a lot of more players and was capable of doing that. But what I can't understand is why PUBG, I'll say on a 100-player lobby, when it gets to 75 players, those 2 minutes should start ticking down. In fact, it shouldn't even be 2 minutes. It should be 20 seconds then, right? 75 players, 20-second countdown. If more players join, great. If they don't, we'll either fill it up with bots or we won't fill it up at all. Or they could even, this is what I think, if you have a 100-player map that's only got 70 players on it, the first circle should be there when you're flying over the map. I think they should definitely do that and speed up the rotation between games, because it's so annoying to have to wait for at least 5 minutes between each game. But apart from that, the gunplay, the sounds, there are a few people I noticed posting saying they're not quite sure about the ping and the lag. Might be not that great. I don't tend to notice that much because you can see by the gameplay you're watching here. I tend to fly long, loot safe, and don't really come into contact with other players until the final few minutes of the game, when almost everybody else is dead. And arguably that's the time when the server will be at its best in terms of performance. When it doesn't have to keep track of 30 different gunfights going on at the same time. When there's only one or two, that's when you're going to get proper hit registration. That's when you're not going to hit big lag spikes and get shot around the corner. I'm not saying it doesn't still happen. I'm not sure whether dedicated servers for PUBG are now, whether they've located them all into Central Europe, which is something that happened with Battlefield 1. But hopefully there's still a server in London or Paris or in Ireland, so that the ping isn't too bad. I think my ping is about 40 milliseconds, which isn't, it's not terrible. But apart from that, it feels good. And when this game finished and the third guy died, so it just me versus the other guy, I knew I was at a big disadvantage, because the problem was I'd shot at the other guy, and the guy who had shot the guy who died was using a suppressor, and I didn't. So he would have had a really good idea where I was, and I kind of had a rough idea where he was. But when someone's using a suppressor, it kind of muffles where they are. And I was on open ground. What I should have done was probably popped. I think I probably still had, excuse me, a smoke grenade left in my M79, so I should have popped one of them, and that may have got me to cover. Then I could use something like a Molotov to force him from behind the tree, or the circle could have come to me and I could have got there. But you know, with PUBG, as with all battle royales, it's all about playing the game again and again and again, and eventually those final circles will come to you and it will deliver you a dinner. But it felt good. I mean, I had that adrenaline rush. What more could you want? That is, as far as I'm concerned, that is total immersion, isn't it? When you're getting that adrenaline rush, when you're like, towards the end. And PUBG still gives me that in solos, and probably squads as well if I was playing that too. Anyway, I've waffled on long enough now. I'm going to leave the whole of the video, I think, for posterity's sake. If you want to, you know, just skip ahead to 3 minutes to the end. That's when kind of some of the action starts. The rest of it is me just camping in bushes and waiting to see what happens. But anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.